Huge fart. The sheer force of it rattled your bones and engulfed you head to toe. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Handsome German, the only show on the internet. One that you should probably support by subscribing to the channel in case you, at any point during this video, have considered it informative, entertaining, or good to fall asleep to. I had a really nice day yesterday. 2 days ago, I captured footage of Detention Club Schools Out, I believe is what this game is called. Yesterday, we went on a bit of a road trip around the island, had some delicious pineapple ice cream. I had a passion fruit milkshake, which was incredible. And, you know, just saw some really nice scenery, saw some parts of the island of Oahu that I'd never seen before. So that was cool. I like that a lot. And then I realized towards the end of the day, uh-oh, I have to record the voiceover for this game today because it releases today. And what is Detention Club? It is an admittedly interesting premise, well, in terms of genres. It is a half visual novel, half RPG, where you get into a fight, then you have some time to call people that you know on the phone, you have time to visit the infirmary and have a little story moment with the nurse there. Oh, jeez. And you have a moment to check your inventory to save the game. Saving the game requires save chips, I believe they're called. Which, after winning... Did I win the third battle? I don't even remember. Which, I don't know if you get any more than the 3 you start out with. Because I got, like, to the end of the third battle, and then I just couldn't play anymore. For reasons that I'm going to explain very soon. Now, I'm going to try to stay as objective as I can all the way up until, you know, when I discuss some of the other themes of the game instead of its mechanics and writing and stuff like that. So mechanically, this game is very simplistic. It's a JRPG. In a way. It's probably the most JRPG that ever came from outside of Japan, if you really think about it. You have health, you have items that you start the game out with, all of which are healing items that restore health or different, well, undo different status effects. You have special attacks. You can question enemies, which gives you some kind of buff throughout the battle. I don't know what it does because the game doesn't explain it, but it also gives you extra experience points at the end of the battle. So even though you lose a turn by using question, you're probably going to want to do it in every battle just to be as optimal as possible. The skills that you have are different special attacks that the game will tell you target different parts of the body, which should allow you to find weaknesses in the enemy. Now, the problem is that of the 3 enemies that I fought, all of them are significantly taller and broader than our protagonist Nomak here. And whenever you perform any attack or skill, and the same goes for the enemy, it cuts away to a quick 1-frame still of how the attack actually played out in universe. And I gotta say, a lot of effort went into that. Instead of just having a little fist icon appear over the face of an enemy, no matter who that enemy is, there is a custom still for every attack against every enemy from what I've seen so far. I've tried every move against every enemy, and there's a little animation, quote unquote, not animation, a little still that shows how incredibly pathetic and weak you are compared to your opponent. And that's a theme that we'll get into a little later. The combat is very much just a back and forth, and there's not really anything too amazing about it. It's very much just a JRPG. It has a couple of annoying quirks that I personally really dislike. There are a lot of different status effects that you will be afflicted with, like your muscles becoming sore or becoming bruised or dazed, but the game does not tell you at all what any of these status effects do. And as a result, if my character is bruised, I don't know if it's worth it to spend one of my turns recovering from that debuff by using an item, since I don't know if bruised goes away on its own. I don't know what it does. In other games, let's say like in Pokemon, if your Gyarados is burning, then you know, since the game told you at some point, by whatever means, that if your Pokemon is on fire, it only deals half physical damage. So if your Gyarados is burning, it's like, oh, well, this is a physical attacker. I know that I can use a burn heal, and then it'll be back to full attack strength. And then, perfect, I can use it again. Now, if your Alakazam is burning, that doesn't really matter. It deals a little bit of damage every turn, but it does not reduce your special attack, so who cares? And that's kind of the problem with this game. I don't know if spending an item is worth it for this current battle. I don't know if curing nauseated, which I think is kind of like poison, but I'm not sure because, again, the game does not tell you. Then I don't know if I want to spend a turn doing that, considering how much damage enemies do and how very carefully balanced this game was towards making it very close with every battle. You are likely to be down to 20 hit points at the end of every single encounter. You might randomly just die because enemies don't deal fixed damage, so even on repeat playthroughs, which unfortunately you have to do because there's a lot of trial and error, you just kind of have to guess and hope for the best that if you have 150 hit points, the next attack doesn't deal 152 damage. Like you can see here, it was incredibly close. Like she took off half of my health with a single attack, and this one deals 55 points of damage. There really is no way of predicting when to heal. Because ideally, if your health is down to 4 and your healing items refills all of your health, or 500, which is all of your health in this case, then yeah, you're gonna want to heal when your HP are 1. You don't want to heal when your HP are at 150, because that wastes 150 points of healing potential. A hit point total of 300. And that is incredibly frustrating. I have died many, many times during the first 3 battles of the game because an enemy that usually deals 60 damage suddenly decided to deal 150. And then you just die, and then you have to sit through all of that dialogue again, and then you have to sit through the battle again where there aren't really any choices you can make to speed things along. Now, the incredibly frustrating thing about the way that combat works in this game and about how the visual feedback works and the unique stills that exist for every attack against every enemy from what I've seen is the fact that the game is very much obsessed with making your character look as pathetic as possible. So I'm going to use Thunder Spear. So, boom. Alright. And what does she do? She makes fun of you for trying. But the attack dealt 120 points of damage. But the still very clearly showed that my attack was seemingly entirely useless. So, did I do the right thing or not? Because, for reasons I'll get into more later, the game is obsessed with making your character look as pathetic as possible. And the problem with that is that you don't know if you're doing the right thing. Ever. Because all of your attacks look like they got blocked easily and had absolutely no effect on the enemy. Which, you know, if an enemy tells you, aha, you shouldn't have attacked my thighs, they're too big and strong for you. And then you try all of your other moves, and the opponent just goes, aha, you shouldn't have attacked my arms, they're too big and strong for you. Haha, and you shouldn't have attacked my head either, it's too big and strong for you. What the fuck do you want from me, video game? It's incredibly tedious to just slap away at enemies that insist that what you're doing does nothing. And there could be, you know, some interesting storytelling there, and it definitely actually fits in with the big theme of this game. However, if I've already died, either from enemies suddenly dealing double damage out of nowhere, or because there's a multiple choice question in the middle of the first 3 battles, each one of them, and if you get it wrong, you die instantly, then... oh my god, the nurse catches me off guard every time. She's not even the worst one. She's not even the worst offender. Oh god, I'm gonna throw up soon. Alright, I can do this. So, instead of having a cool little moment where, aha, you're in this difficult situation, which of these 3 things do you want to do? There could be an interesting approach there where, aha, I'm very close to a weak spot now, so I'm going to bite the weak spot. Ugh. And then that has the effect that your enemy takes a bunch of damage, but becomes enraged and starts dealing more damage too, while something like, oh, begging for forgiveness is going to cause the enemy to deal less damage going forward, but maybe inflict a negative status effect on you as well. That would be kind of interesting if there was some kind of player expression there. However, the only expression that this game will permit, the only one that this game encourages at all, and seemingly the one that the game assumes everyone will naturally gravitate towards, is the most humiliating option possible. And to be fair, when the 3rd battle rolled around, I knew what to do. The first battle, I died 3 times. Well, no, twice. I died twice because I picked the wrong 2 answers first before finding the correct answer. The second battle, I died once during the multiple choice thing, and then got the right one after that. And then the third one, I actually just knew. I knew what the game wanted from me. And that's kind of an interesting thing to behold, because a lot of these characters are hyper-focused on humiliating the character and on teaching him that he's pathetic and that he should be considering himself lucky to even still be alive or grateful. And yeah, in a bizarrely decent bit of ludonarrative, yeah, you actually just start to understand what the game wants you to do, what the characters want you to do, and it is to embarrass yourself horribly. So I can give you credit for that. That was done very cleverly. Here's the character that gets to me because her proportions are just a little bit too ridiculous. to the point where I don't even see what other people would see in that. Because, you know, I've talked enough about how this game focuses so much on humiliating the player character more specifically, that it's very obvious that this is a fetish game. It is. And the thing is, there's nothing technically wrong with somebody making a fetish game. It's the same thing that goes with all art when people say, oh, don't push this political agenda, don't push this sexuality into our art, into our media. If you want to do that, why don't you just make your own? Like, don't demand that games cater to a foot and, what is it, a crush fetish? A fart fetish is in there too, very much so. Don't ask people to include that in their games. Why don't you go and make it yourself? And the developer very much took that advice to heart and made that game themselves. I requested a review copy for this game because I thought it looked so hilariously bad that I could just laugh it off and just be like, this is a small enough developer. They're probably going to want to hand out keys to anyone who's even remotely interested in talking about it. So, hey, that part definitely worked out, and I ended up getting that review copy. I did not think it was going to be this bad. I thought it was just an ugly game. I didn't think it was reveling in how absolutely disgusting it looks. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that this game is not only very cheap in its appearance, but also just objectively hideous. The problem is that the game acts as if it wasn't. The game acts under the assumption that you're playing this with one hand, as they say. The game plays with the assumption that if a character tells you that they're crushing you with their big feet, that you'll get off on that. They play with the assumption that if a character, and let's see if I can get there. Let's see if I can get that. There we go. All right. It assumes that the player likes this. That the player is into this thing that's happening on screen right now. And putting away... Where's the line? Say the line, game. So, what did I say here? I called for help. And yeah, that's what the game wanted you to do. Take heed. Okay. Alright. Come on, say the line. Say the line. Yep, see, they actively tell you, let enemies humiliate you. This is what this game was about. Blasted out a huge fart. The sheer force of it rattled your bones and engulfed you head to toe. If you want to play a video game where an unrealistically large woman sits on you and then farts so hard that it rattles your bones, this is probably the only visual novel / RPG where you will get that exact experience. Probably. I don't want to find out if there's more of them. Let's see, I have another video of the librarian. She's probably the most normal looking out of all of them that I've seen. She kind of looks like somebody desperately try to cosplay as not a specific Zoe Deschanel character, but, you know, as all of them. And just didn't quite have the body for it. Which, you know, whatever, man, right? I've told you the objective flaws that this game has. I told you that the game does a very bad job at showing whether or not your attack was effective at all, because it shows all of your attacks as being entirely worthless and just being laughed off by every single Slender Man in the building. And that's pretty much all there is to this game. If you're not specifically into the idea of very large women humiliating you and stepping on you, yeah, calling you an idiot and talking about how big their bodies are. If you're not into that, then there isn't much for you here. If you're, like me, are actively disgusted by the visuals, and you find the fetishes on display quite disturbing due to how violent and vile they are, then you're going to hate this game. However, the thing is, if you are into this weird genre of pornography where everything is really ugly and you're being assaulted in some of the most disgusting and just repulsive ways possible, if you're into the first two characters in the game farting on you, then this is probably one of the only games for you where you can get that experience. And I can't really hate the game for that, because that's like walking into a Portuguese classroom and complaining that you don't understand what people are saying. Why did you walk into a Portuguese classroom if you don't speak the language? If you don't want to learn it? If you're not curious about it at all? So, yeah. While it, you know, metaphorically made my dick fall off, who knows? You've probably seen enough of the game. If you somehow became interested in it through the ways I described it to you, you've probably been looking at the screen intently and reading everything, and you would probably know if you would like it. So... ugh. Anyway, I think that's all from me for today. This has been Detention Club School's End, I think. If you found this video informative, disturbing, or good to fall asleep to, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel for more games that range from anywhere between Psychonauts 2, which I reviewed recently for a full hour, and Detention Club, which I now have also kind of reviewed. Kind of. Basically what I'm saying is, you might find out about games you would otherwise never know existed. Because that's kind of part of what I'm doing here. Yep. Giant hands. You gotta appreciate a woman who is so confident in herself that she constantly has to tell you that all of her body parts are very large. But hey, you know, I'm so big and powerful. Your muscles are so big, they're bigger than me. I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Do, 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 do.